Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're listening to the Dr. Laurie Davis Show, streaming live right now on E360 TV, also on YouTube, Laurie Davis Show Host, and our Facebook streaming page, Self Worth The Missing Link Superstars. So there are three ways for you to access us live today, and I'm really pleased to have my co host, colleague, friend, Virginia Clarke, with us today. And Virginia and I, welcome to the show, Virginia,
Thank you, Laurie.
because on Wednesdays we do wellness, a discussion on wellness. So today, Virginia and I decided to dialogue about what's going on right now, probably worldwide, like another pandemic, but the whole concept of the overdosing, addictions, the opiates, why people have addictions in the first place. And so our topic today is a little bit heavy, but I don't want you to be get heavy over it. It's just that we want to put some information out there because we don't like to put information out unless we have some solutions. So we're not only going to focus on the problems, we're going to focus on some solutions that are available as well. And what better person to have with us to talk about that? Someone who solved her own situations, which she can talk about. So, welcome to the show, Virginia.
Thank you, Laurie. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, it is a heavier topic, but it's such an important topic. And it also goes hand in hand, I think, with our mental health crisis that is happening worldwide as well, Laurie. So what we have
Mm-hmm.
to offer is beautiful for that mental health aspect of
Right on, which we'll
self-worth.
talk about in a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah, for sure.
exactly.
So, I know that you did a little bit of research for us. So, why don't we start with that and give us some statistics of some things that you know is going on in our own region here in the province of Alberta, Canada. But also, I don't think it would be remiss of us to say that this is going on all over the place. So, over to
Yes.
you for some things that you discovered.
The first thing that really threw me was the flesh eating issues, flesh eating animal tranquilizers that are being added into the fentanyl that's out there. It's extremely disturbing. The pictures were rather disturbing, and people are getting this drug and not even realizing what they're taking. It's scary. It's frightening to see what's out there. And this story came right from Edmonton, which is a few hours away from us. So yeah, it's terrifying. Especially having a child out there. What's happening in this world is it's terrifying as a parent to know that it's out there, it exists. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the first thing that really boggled my mind when I was reading through. Um, yeah, and the overdose rates are skyrocketing around the world. It's it's terrifying. It's terrifying what's happening now, and we need to talk about it. We need to get it out there. We need to have people aware of exactly why. Why is this happening? We need people to question and to fight and say, hey, we need to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, even, I mean, 20 years ago, when our young people, 20 years ago, when our young people in our family were going to a school dance or they were going out with some friends, maybe they were just, of age and they could get into a bar, uh, to always carry their drinks with them, whether it was an alcoholic beverage or a can of pop, because anybody could come along and put anything in there. And 20 years ago, that was going on, of course. But now it's not that somebody's putting something in there, it's what they're putting in there, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's unfortunate that you can't even go out and have a social drink anymore without having that concern in the back of your mind. It's frightening. It's frightening to be a young person nowadays. And yeah, they have to be super vigilant about everything. Everywhere
Mhm.
they go, anything they do, it's, you just can't. I mean, when I was younger, it wasn't as scary. Yeah, you could try something if you wanted, and not worry so much about it. Whereas now, I mean, you can try something once and it can kill you. Done. That's it.
Well, this is the thing. So let's talk a little bit about fentanyl. Like, that's a
Hmm.
fairly inexpensive, easily accessible drug
Hmm.
that get a little buzz on, I guess, or a high.
Yep.
But the danger, I believe, in it, and I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form, but if it's mixed with other things, that
Hmm.
makes it even more potent, I would think.
And it is fentanyl that they are mixing that tranquilizer with, that animal tranquilizer with. It is in fentanyl, and what it does, I guess, is makes it different colors. So I mean, that itself is even a draw. Look at this nice little purple whatever.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay. Hmm.
yeah. So I mean, that itself, can be a draw for young people to, you know, probably looks like candy in a sense. It's a terrifying, you know, thing that's going on, and you're right. It is not just in Canada. American and Canadian officials are issued warnings about this
Hmm.
because the side effects, they're saying these long-term side effects of this horse tranquilizer is flesh-eating disease.
Holy,
Flesh-eating disease. That means your flesh is gone.
right. So
That's,
you, I,
yeah,
I know you came
it's
up with some
terrifying. It's
numbers. I
a
know you came up.
terrifying, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I know you came up with
Yes,
some
I will find
statistics for us.
those. No, no, that's okay. Hmm. So the one thing that came up, through, actually, this was in Ontario. So, and this was in regards to opioids. Opioids death rates tripled for Ontario teens and young adults since 2014. Has tripled for us. Um, and that's between those ages 15 to 24. And guess what happened? Surged during the first year of the pandemic.
What?
So our that pandemic that we all went through, that you know that we're still paying for today, with all this surge in drug use and overdoses for our teens and our young people is, yeah, yeah, at that age. I mean, that's such a powerful age, and they can be influenced by so many different things. So it's a scary, scary thing for our young people.
Yeah.
It's enough to have to deal with what am I going to do when I grow up, but to have to deal with, just being super vigilant, like I said, about not taking anything that you absolutely do not know what it is.
Yeah, so that's a different kind of parenting, isn't it? And a different kind of teaching and a different kind of mentoring
Yeah.
for our kids.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what would be some signs that you are a parent, you have a teenage son? So, what are some things that as a parent you would look for or you would notice a change? Or,
Mhm.
how do we be vigilant? How do we, as parents, teachers, mentors, aunties, um, what are some things we can do to be vigilant
I,
around
I
that?
always, I'm always open and honest with my son. He understands that he can be open and honest with me about anything. And that's the kind of relationship you want to put forth. No judgment. I mean, they're kids. We were kids once too. And yes, we absolutely tried different things. You can't, you know. So being open and honest with them about what's going on, talking to them about drugs and alcohol, and just having that conversation, having those hard conversations. My son and I have a, relationship where, yeah, he can have a passcode on his phone, but he lets me know what it is. So I know what he's, if I want to, I don't, because I trust him with that to come forth. If they're withdrawn, I mean, teens are harder. I mean, they're in that phase, but if their behavior changes dramatically from their baseline behavior, from what you know and see, absolutely step in. Something's going on, whether it's something happening at school, you know, drugs, alcohol. There's something going on. So yeah, just talk, listen, and listen. Hear them, and they will let you know what's happening. But have that relationship, be open with them, and non-judgmental, because you know that they're children. Of course, they're curious, but if we can give them the right information, the healthy, the helpful, that information, they're going to go in there armed with that information ahead of time instead of after the fact. And then,
Right.
maybe when we're dealing with an overdose or a drug problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes I get calls from parents wanting me to work with their kids. And they'll say things like, "Oh my goodness, he was such a sweet boy." And then all of a sudden, we can't get him out of his room. He's not eating, and they go through all the symptoms. And I always come back with, when did you notice that change? What age? Well, it happened when he was like, went into junior high, or, they think back. And then my next question is, I wonder what was going on for him at that time. Do you know anything about what was happening for him at that time? Because it takes either, a traumatic event, or maybe somebody tried to get them to take drugs and they did, or, something went down, is what I mean. And
Absolutely.
so, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and so your words of wisdom on just paying attention and putting in that time is invaluable, even
Yeah.
if there's nothing going on. Why do we always have to wait for a crisis before we take action? There's a good question,
I don't know.
but isn't it true?
Right? I know. I mean, the proactive approach is not something that people think about. I mean, it just isn't that. Even getting to know your teen's friends, their parents.
Oh, yeah.
It's something simple like that. Meet their friends, know who to hang out with, know that influence, that because I mean they are in school for so many hours, so many days. That influence is their main influence. We have them in the morning before they go to school, and we have them in the evening after they get home from school. But in school, that's a huge influence. Meet the teachers, meet their friends, know the school policy on this stuff, find out, um, volunteer for the student council, anything like that. Just, I mean, and I'm not saying no, you're not spying on your child. Absolutely not. You want to create that trust and have that trust building with them, but be involved. Don't just let them go do whatever, whenever. They need us. We have to be there for them. In these, it's the world is a lot different from when we were younger. It's a lot different from when I was younger. Um, and they need help navigating it. This is new to them. We've already been through it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think uh, for me, it was always about creating safety. So it's safety first, safety before anything, because if they're not safe or they don't feel safe, they're at risk wherever they are, whether they're at home, school. And oftentimes in our work in the world, we tell people, here's the three places you're supposed to feel the safest: home, school, church. And I will guarantee you, Virginia, and I know you know this to be true, 99.9% of our clients were hurt either at home, at school, or at church. Three supposedly safest places for us to be.
Hmm.
And that's just not happening. It's
No.
just not happening anymore. Kids aren't safe in their own home.
No.
How, I mean, really. when you think about it. So we're going to take a little break because I want to put it every 15 minutes or so. I like to put out a few little comments. So the first one is if you want to talk to Virginia, because Virginia is a graduate of our Self Worth University, and she's able to facilitate workshops as it relates to parenting, addictions, entrepreneurship. She just did a workshop for us this morning. And if you like her and you think she's really sweet and everything, and you would like to have your kids working with her or whatever, then please, here's her email, best way to reach her, and just contact her. And you see all those beautiful certificates on the wall. Oh my gosh, we teased her about that. But she's done a lot of personal work and a lot of professional training and development work over the years. So please feel free to do that. And on top of that, Virginia and I will be running a workshop August 14th to the 18th. And that workshop is limited to 4 individuals. And we're in search of 4 young men, and then we will be doing one for 4 young women. Between the ages of 19, 25, if you have a young person in your family or in your circle that's struggling with addictions, maybe they get clean for a while and then they're back. We have a workshop. I've got a little banner up here, and I'd love for Virginia to comment on her contributions too. But it's a combination. We call it HEAR, HEAR, Healthy, Empowering Addictions Recovery. So it's not just about getting the drugs out or the alcohol out. It's other things that accompany that. So behaviors. A lot of people get clean, but then they go right back to their old behaviors. The only difference is they're just not using. So over to you, Virginia, if you want to make any comments about our workshop. I'm excited about it. It's 4 days, it's 3 nights. We take care of everything, food, room, materials, workshop, and Virginia and I co-facilitate. So I'm just putting that out there. I already have 1 young man that is pretty much registered, but we need 3 more. And yes, there is a cost, but hey, everything that's worthwhile has an investment. So over to you, Virginia, for your input around our workshop.
Investment in yourself is, it has no price value. It's what I mean. Yeah, we are excited to be able to offer this. It's a different way to come in and to get that full workshop experience and communication that you need to heal yourself. And that's the thing. The tools that you walk away with, you have forever. These are tools that you will get, you'll work through, and when you leave this workshop, you have those tools forever. You're healing inside and outside. How to go forward, how to deal with your addictions or those triggers when they come back at you. Yeah, it is priceless. It's priceless. Any work on self is priceless, and anything that can help you get away from that addiction is priceless.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to have more information, you can contact Virginia or you can call me directly or text. And we're going to be running these. We like to do 1 or 2 a month, one for girls, one for guys. And we're really interested in working with those young adults. If somebody's 65 and they've been to rehab 8 times, they've been invested in and obviously are not prepared to make the necessary changes. But our young people, if they have had trauma or losses or abandonment, sexual abuse, all the things that create the use of addictions in the first place, we kind of go to the core and we work on the why. And then we figure it out and how to help them get past that. So I would say we are an alternative to some of the systems that are out there to recovery. And we have an empowerment component, which is all about learning how to respect oneself, how to love oneself. And so we're excited about that. All right. Well, back. See, I said we'll talk about the big stuff and the heavy stuff, but There's solutions to it, and we want to be able to be part of that. So let's go back to I read where there were 5 deaths a day right now, and it's probably more in the city of Edmonton alone. So just in that one location, we're losing 5 people a day. That could be wrong. Maybe you have more information on that. Over to you.
That was, let's see. I did save some things here, just because. I don't have specific for Edmonton right now, but in Saskatchewan, Regina, they have already 84 overdose deaths in 2023, compared to the same 71 over the same time frame in 2022. So we can see those overdoses are they're growing. And that's in Regina. That's so in Regina, Saskatchewan. What else do we have? We have so many things here. I follow on addictions. I get emails, because it is important. It's important to stay. Again, yeah, the in Ontario, the death rates have tripled. Um, Calgary News brought up Alberta marks deadliest month for overdose deaths was April so far. And more people died in Alberta of a toxic drug overdose in April than in any single month on record.
Wow.
Yeah, 179 people died in April of drug poisoning. And 76 of those alone in our big city, that's Calgary. So that's the
Wow.
opposite. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's across the province, it's across the country, it's across the world. It's this the statistics I have are more for Canada, because I am in Canada, but it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
So one of
Yeah.
the things I know, when I did my research on suicides, because they're direct, they're linked. Is it an accidental overdose or was it self-inflicted? Where do you draw the line there? But in our province of Alberta,
Mhm.
I learned that our emergency services, the emergency units at our hospitals, the intake for drug overdose in a day
Mhm.
exceeds all the other reasons why people are in emergency, whether it's a
Mhm.
car accident, a heart attack, um, a broken arm. It exceeds all the other reasons why people are in emergency in one day. And the average age was between 15 and 25. So, once again, our young adults, and that's who we're targeting right now. And for our workshops, because that's who needs the support. Not saying that other people don't need support. I'm not saying that, but at least there's an opportunity there for prevention. And we're totally focused on let's, um, let's do things so that they never
Mhm.
see the inside of a detox center, or they never see the inside of a jail, or they never see the inside of a police station or an emergency unit.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, an
Um,
addiction is a response or a reaction, as far as I'm concerned, to something that happened.
it's
And
absolutely.
we knew that 30 years ago. Now you'll hear professionals saying, "Oh, if somebody's drinking or they're taking drugs, they must have had a trauma when they were young." You think? We knew that 30 years ago. They're just figuring it out.
Yeah.
They thought it was a disease.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a
They
disease,
still do call it a disease.
I
Um,
know.
they still do call it a disease. But I guess if you look at the word disease, sometimes you think, okay, then there must be a cure. So, how do we cure it? Well, you're not going to cure it, um, unless you get down, like you said, to the nitty gritty, to the reason why. Why?
Mhm.
Why are people doing this? With the pandemic, and we understand. I mean, we still. I shouldn't say we understand. The complications from that pandemic are just,
Overwhelming.
it is overwhelming. It really is, because it's mental health, it's drug abuse, it's suicide, it's all that wrapped into one, where um just to get someone on the phone to deal with mental health is horrific. It's horrific.
Well,
It
who wants to call a 1-800 number and I don't even know the person on the end of the line? There's no
No,
trust.
and then it's a series of questions, and then they decide if you get mental health
Oh,
help or not.
wow.
I'm sorry, I'm phoning you. Obviously, I need help.
Right.
So 45 minutes go by. I mean, a lot can happen in 45 minutes, you know. So the other thing that popped up on the newsfeed, thousands of Canadian drug users are dying as government red tape limits help.
Wow.
So when we look at what we do, Laurie, as that alternative, if people know and want change, and are looking for change, absolutely, there we're out there. We are out there. We are advocating in different communities. We are, like you've been so busy, just putting yourself out there, offering our program, reaching out, touching base with people, just to, hey, we're here. We're here. There is an alternative to, to that system. Now, let me set it straight. We are not a rehab center.
No,
That's not what we do.
we're
We do not
educated.
help you through detox. That is something that you do need help through. That is a terrifying thing to go through and can be life threatening.
Hmm.
Detox. We are at the other end. When you're done, you've gone through that, and you need help moving forward. That's where we step in. It's
Hmm.
an alternative, like Laurie said, an alternative to those things out there, because we help you get to the root of the problem, the why. We help you understand that and work through that, and give you those tools to deal with that if that trigger pops up again.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's and do not get us wrong. We're not bashing anyone.
No, no.
Um,
We
we're
need
not.
those professionals.
We are just putting ourselves out there that, what, we exist, and we're here, and we can offer you the support that you need to take that first step to kick your addiction, get rid of it, learn why. Why did this happen to me in the first place? Why did I
Mhm.
make the choices I made? Why,
Right.
as someone who um, was walking that path, learning why was just a huge eye opener. Understanding why I chose the path I chose, and acted the way I acted, and did the things I did. um you know it's everything is learning. It's learning why, then getting the tools, and having those tools in my tool belt to say, hey, I don't need to go down that path anymore, because I know why. And that's not me. That's not who I am anymore. It's an alternative way to look at the world, and see it through healthy eyes.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes. Thank you for that. Well, speaking about the why, and I love to share this story, and I don't think I have shared it on a show, but many years ago, I had a young man, not young, he was in his 50s by the time I met him, but anyway, I needed a website, and his name popped up, and I liked his work, and so I decided to go, and I made an appointment, and he gave me the address, and I thought I would, and he sounded very professional on the phone, so I thought I was going to a place of business. I ended up going to his apartment, and it was in a part of town that wasn't that safe, and I thought, this is strange. So anyway, I get into his apartment, and he's got all of his monitors, and he's got everything all set up. Sweet guy. And then he explained to me that he was living on welfare. And I said, well, how does that work? What are you doing on welfare, a talented man like you? And then he proceeded to share with me his story and the road down the rocky road of alcoholism. And he had been clean for 25 years. He hadn't been drinking in like 25 years. And I said, well, it doesn't look like you really have your life back together either, right? So that whole worthiness or unworthiness was really big in his world. And so he said he'd been in rehab, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And he'd been to counseling. And we're not counselors either, we're educators. So I said, well, how old were you when you started drinking? Good question. And he said, never thought about that. Nobody's ever asked me that. In 25 years of being clean and sober, going to meetings, going to counseling, nobody ever said, how old were you when you started drinking? So he said, that's an interesting question. Let me think. I know exactly that. I remember the day I was 13. I said, really? And then I said, question number 2 is, what happened when you were 13? And honestly, Virginia, the tears started coming. And he said, nobody's ever asked me that either. I said, okay, so what happened when you were 13? And he said, my mom died when I was 13. See? So when he put that together, 2 and 2 together, he said his response basically was, I guess I can stop punishing myself now. You see? So it's those are the kinds of things that we like to work through.
Absolutely.
And whether it's one person at a time, one family at a time, that's how we work. And we've been doing this work for 32 years. So we're not exactly new to the craft or the trade, right?
Yeah.
But getting to that why, yes. So I'm going to do a little commercial now. For another one of our colleagues, Ramin Modiri. Ramin was on the show yesterday. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but oh my gosh, he talked about the 10 best movies to watch as it relates to finance, investing, trading. And I had actually seen 7 of them. I was so excited. But he went through the 10 movies. But anyway, Ramin and I are right now taking registrations for a finance program. And we're going to be offering 100 workshops. 50 of those workshops are hardcore financial strategies and how to build wealth for your family and yourself. And the other 50 are more on the empowerment side of things, which would be my role. So that's our little commercial for halftime this morning. And today, if you're just joining us, my guest is Virginia Clarke, and we're busy just having some chit chat about the next pandemic, which is on the planet right now, which is drugs. And it's rampant, it's taking lives, it's killing our kids. As a matter of fact, there is some kind of a meeting in Ottawa going on, I believe, as we speak about it, because of how it's taking the lives of our young people, and we need to do something drastic, like right away. We can't wait.
No.
But let's talk about, because you brought this up, the aftermath of COVID.
Yes.
That I don't believe, and I don't think you believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that there was any preparation or planning to handle the aftermath of COVID.
No.
Now, when we discussed people passing away during COVID, you know how it first took out our old people first? It hit the nursing homes and then but I know for a fact of 2 friends who died from loneliness. It was the lack of contact with family, feeling abandoned, not having any visitors. That's what they died of. And I'm sure many more that we don't know about. So over to you for your thoughts on the aftermath of COVID.
It's yeah, the preparation, there was no, I don't think there was any thought about it. The mental health crisis that stemmed from COVID alone, um, especially, yeah, our seniors, our young people being, and when we talked about being safe at home, sometimes for our children out there, I mean, maybe school was the only safe place they had, and then they were stuck at home, or just those different things. Yeah, and our seniors. I know I would talk to my dad because I would still go see him. It is what it is. When he was still alive, and that's what he found was the worst. Was that not being able to see people, not go out. I mean, that was his thing. He would take himself out, go out to the restaurant, have some supper, and go home. That was his outing. In Yeah, there was no preparation, no thought, no consideration. Absolutely not. And it's still, like I say, with everything going on, and they're seeing these rises in drug use and overdose, and they're saying started during the pandemic. This is not new. Nobody's making this up. All you got to do is research any news channels. Um, that's what they're saying. Started during the pandemic. Well, what's happening? No, the wait time to talk to anyone is insane. The trying to get a hold of someone for mental health issues is ridiculous. Like I just read, the government red tape to get help for drug use. Uh, why? Like what's you
Well,
know
10 years ago, I was sitting in the doctor's office with my husband. He had had a stroke. And it came up on the televisions that they have in there, and it came up on the ticker. Our budget for medical care in Alberta 10 years ago was $40 million a day. That's astounding.
Mhm,
$40 million a day is what it was costing our province to provide health services. Well,
mhm.
now I'm going, okay, where's the money? Where is it going? Where is it being spent? Where is it being wasted? And maybe there needs to be a shift on where we're spending it
Yeah,
versus where we need to be spending it again.
yeah,
There's lots of help on the back end, and that's what prevention's all about. There's lots of help on the back end to get clean and, blah, 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 blah. But what's being spent on the front end to prevent that from happening in the first place?
yeah.
That's
And
my
even the kits that they pass out, they're even running short on those. The nalproxen kits, running
Oh,
short
you're
on those
kidding.
as well. No, and I mean, like I carry one in my vehicle, um, just just because you never know, right? But it's sad that I even have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad that and it's sad. It is just period, plain and simple, sad state of affairs that our system is in.
And we all know that during COVID, alcoholism went up, drug use went
Yes,
up, domestic violence went up,
yes, it did.
suicides went up,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
probably missing people, crime. Look at the crime rate, break-ins, beating up old people to steal their wallets. I mean, it's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
I believe it's time that we get our head out of our butt or out of the sand and have a good hard look at, and of course, as an individual, one might say, well, what can I do? I'm only one person.
Yeah.
Well, you can help one other person.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that senior across the street who has nobody to carry her groceries in, or it can be a smile. It can be such a simple thing that we can do to change
Yeah.
somebody's day. Yesterday, I was at a big department store that starts with W, and Wally World, I call it,
Mm.
Wally World. And anyway, the staff, there was a girl there, a lady, she was probably in her 50s, I suppose. and she was stocking shelves and moving things around. And I said, I was in her way, and I said, "Oh, excuse me." And I got back, and I never say I'm sorry. You know how people in a store will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I just say, "Excuse me." But anyway, we got talking. She's from the East Coast, and of course, we're very friendly people, so we had this big conversation. And I just said to her, "I am so." She said, "I'm sorry, I was in your way." I said, "No." I said, "I'm just so grateful that you're here and that you were here during COVID. And there was a place where we could actually go and get groceries because you were willing to come into work, even with the risky situation." That changed her day. It doesn't have to be the big stuff. This is the thing. It can be the little stuff. And then we get talking, and she's from the East Coast, and I'm from the East Coast. And, they had the big floods on the weekend, and her mom's down there. And I mean, what can I say? New best friend. So
Mhm.
just be
Connection.
more respectful, being
Hmm.
connected,
Yeah,
paying attention.
connection.
Uh, and then before I went to Wally World, I was parked and getting ready to go out of town for a little errand. And this young man, Indigenous man, walked up to my car and knocked on the window. And I put the window down and I said, "What is a good looking man like you doing on the streets?" And he said, "Well, my brother kicked me out for the afternoon. He wasn't liking my behavior, I guess." And I said, "Well, where are you from?" And he named his band and everything. And I said, "I suppose you want some money, do you? Well, have you got any change?" I said, "If I give you some money, what are you going to do with it?" He said, "Well, I was actually going to buy something to eat." So I gave him a $20 bill. Now, afterwards, I thought he might go and use it for drugs. He might go and use it for drinks. He might go and use it for whatever. But he had this big smile on his face when he left my car. And I said, "A good looking guy like you, I bet there's a job in town if you want to look for one.
Hmm.
You look kind of strong and handsome." Just that.
Yeah.
Just that one thing might change the course of his life. That's how impactful we are. What do you think about that? I mean, you know
Yeah.
that, and I know that, but we don't, the average bear doesn't realize how much influence you have
Hmm.
and how much you have to offer.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a workshop. Maybe you're not a counselor. Maybe it doesn't matter.
No. No,
What do you,
it's that, like you say, just treating people like people.
right,
Simple as that. Every, we're all human beings. We all have something going on every day. You never know. So just be kind. You know, just just be kind to people. It's a simple thing to do, and you know what? It costs you $0.
right,
$0 to be kind. Hold the door. It's the pandemic I found has changed a lot of people where they won't even hold the door for you. When did that go out of style? When did, being considerate go out of style? When did saying please and thank you, or like you said, excuse me, go out of style? That that should never go out of style. Just being kind to people should never go out of style. It costs you nothing to be kind and considerate to people. Nothing. Zero.
and
It's one
and
of the
that can
easiest
change.
things.
That can change somebody's direction
Exactly.
because
Absolutely.
maybe they lost
Absolutely.
all faith in the human element.
Hmm.
Because you know what? Um, I interviewed my friend Diane LaFond a week ago Monday, and she's the first ombudsperson for Canada to make sure that our Indigenous people are treated properly in the healthcare system. Why do we have to
Yes.
even, no disrespect to Diane, she might not like me saying this, but why do we even have to have that?
I know. I
Why
know.
would you go into a hospital and be mistreated? But I was in the hospital last year, and I can see how that could easily happen. A tired
Mhm.
nurse, an overworked doctor, somebody who's got their own problems at home and they bring them to work. I mean, we can't even rely on the professionals anymore. As a matter of
No.
fact, on Monday, I went to the bank. I had some banking I needed to do. I had people depending on me, bills to pay, all that. And so I had to go down to speak to the manager. I get to the front door
Mhm.
of the bank, it's closed. And her number was there for me to call, for you to call. So I stood in front of the bank and I made the phone call. And here was the bank manager inside the bank by herself, locked up because staff, no staff, nobody hiring any part time staff to manage a bank. I thought, wow, in my lifetime, I have never seen a sign like that on a door. Sorry, the bank is closed. We have no staff.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good service,
Mhm.
right? That's the world we live in, though.
No. No. Yeah.
So whether it's,
Unfortunately, yeah. And I know throughout all the pandemic, the new norm. You have to think about the new norm. Well, why? It's not. This is not normal.
that was
This
nothing normal
behavior is
about
not
that.
normal.
No.
This lack of kindness. No, this lack of kindness and lack of courteous is not normal. You go into a fast food place and they don't know how to speak to people anymore. There's just no. There's lack of communication, lack of empathy, lack of caring.
Lack of manners.
And that's it's sad. It's a sad. Exactly. It is. No, absolutely. It's a sad state of affairs. It really is. People have just they've
And then
become very selfish.
that's those of us who've managed to cope and survive and get through it. Now
Hmm.
imagine if now on this end, I not only have that to deal with, but now I started drinking every day during COVID,
Hmm.
something I never did perhaps.
Yeah.
And maybe I started drinking longer because there was nothing else to do, nowhere to go, no friends. So now on the other end of it, I have these addictions, whether it's shopping, drinking, drugs, control, you name it,
Yeah.
to deal with
Yeah.
that came out of that experience
And nowhere to turn.
and nowhere to turn.
Nowhere to turn. No one to talk to. You can't go visit your family. You can't do this. You can't do that. So again, that isolation comes into play, and yeah, not having those tools to, like you say, just to work through it, to get through that, and look on the bright side of things. It's a tragedy. It really is. Anything that comes still stemming from the pandemic, it's a tragedy. It's a true tragedy that this is what is going on in our country.
Well, I know for sure, and you have a son, but
Hmm.
I have children in my life, and I know one thing, it ravaged their social skills.
Hmm.
They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to look you in the eye. They don't know how to communicate. And that's not just COVID, that's COVID plus social media technology. There's another addiction that we haven't even talked about, right?
That's a whole nother show.
Because it got yeah, that's a whole other show because it got everybody on their phones and on Zoom. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Mhm. And
yeah.
now,
It's compounded.
and now all those people who were able to work from home don't want to go back to work at the office because they have to get daycare, they have to get gas, it's
Yeah.
expensive. And what about the cost of living and how that's gone up post COVID? Groceries are up 30%. Wouldn't want to be feeding four or five
And
little
that's
kids
another
right
part of
now.
it. Oh, it's crazy.
Finances.
No, no.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, compounded on top of everything, if you already have existing addictions and you're faced with these situations, yeah, you honestly, I can completely understand why people um, feel like they have nothing, nowhere to turn to, nothing to look forward to, and absolutely just hide away in your addiction, hide
Yeah.
away in in your problems, in your situations, and not fight for a solution, not fight for yourself, because when you have an addiction, you have to fight for yourself. You have to fight, you have to get sober always for yourself first. Everyone
Right.
else second, yourself first. And you have
Mhm.
to be willing to fight
Yeah.
and
And
know
do
it's
the work.
not going to be an easy fight.
Yeah. And to do the
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Right on.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've had a very good conversation today, Virginia, Clarke, and myself
Mhm.
today, just touching on a few items as it connects to addictions. And I'd also like to announce that tomorrow we have a monthly Global Society for Female
Mhm.
Entrepreneurs tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Mountain Time. And Virginia is going to be our guest speaker tomorrow, and she's going to speak about living through addictions. And I'm just so grateful to have you on our team. You've really, I think about the first time I met you and I see you now and I'm going, wow, there was a monster in there screaming to get out. And she's here. So just to thank you so much for all your love and support and helping us to move our mighty machine forward and working with our
Mhm.
groups and helping our clients and the people who want to know more with everything that we do.
Yes.
Tomorrow, showtime tomorrow, and I have a special guest tomorrow. I believe I do. On Thursdays, yes, Mary. On Thursdays, we do um, like a book review, a movie review, promote a book, interview an author. And tomorrow I have a colleague of mine from California who's coming in to talk about our book that we created for uh, GSFE. It's about showing up and the power is in asking, volume two. On Mondays, we have our VIP show, Voices of Indigenous People. And Tuesdays, it's Money Matters with our co-host, Ramin Modiri. Wednesday is wellness, and I often pull in our own people because they're such experts in so many different areas of wellness. So thank you, Virginia, for being here today for
Mhm.
wellness.
Perfect.
If you want to catch the show, you can always go into E360 TV. You can go right now to Self Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page. We're broadcasting there right now. And also on our YouTube channel, that gets archived as well. So, YouTube channel, Laurie Davis, show host. Words of encouragement, Virginia, you get to have the last say. Any parents out there or young people out there that you'd like to leave a few words of encouragement to, please go for it.
Just be in touch. Just listen, pay attention, touch base. As simple as going out for a coffee, going out for an ice cream, whatever your kid likes, especially a teen, and just be there. Yeah, just
Cool.
be there. That's my biggest thing, especially as a parent. Let them know that you've got their back, no matter what. Yeah, that's my just just be there. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
terrific. All right, well, we're signing off until this time tomorrow. Thank you again, Virginia. You've been listening to the Dr. Laurie Davis Show here on E360 TV. Have a great rest of the day, and bye bye, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, Virginia, at 9 a.m. Can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You're welcome. Our speaker tomorrow. Bye for now.